Joining us live in studio, Mealani Mkhabela, political economist, and you at home are most welcome to join in on the conversations. The line is open on 011-542-2186, or you can tweet at ANN7TV or at I am Cindy Mabi. Mealani, good evening to you and welcome to ANN7 Prime. Just the effectiveness of the bargaining council when it comes to dealing with issues of labor disputes, primarily to wage increases. This is a perennial problem in the South African market, labor market. I mean, how do you get a resolution that is more sustainable and long-lasting?
I think fundamentally it's we need to start where the issues are. The structure of income to employees. Income distribution and salaries to all our blue-collar employees are very low. And, bargaining councils or trade unions will target strategic times where you will really feel a pinch when they do that. But it is realistic to say bus drivers are earning very less, and all the entrepreneurs that are participating at that industry, they need to review those salaries because these are like family members. And if we are just looking only on Good Friday, I don't think it's something that I will be willing to focus on. But the broader part is the inequality that it is happening in the country, and that needs to be probably sorted the earliest.
All right, but the salary disparities that you're referring to, there had been interventions from the Department of Labor of having a policy around minimum wage for low-end income earners. Has that not made a dent, at least, in settling this impasse that we see from year to year?
I think the mistake that deadlock came up with, its minimum wage that speaks about the 3,500. 3,500 for it to qualify to be a minimum wage where our economy has been growing. So that amount, if it was set 1994, it was realistic, but now it's no longer realistic because there's no family that can live with 3.5 in South Africa. It can't happen because social grant is close to that amount. So if someone is working and is earning 3,500 and someone is earning social grant, is earning almost close to that amount. To understand that it is not realistic. Here I'm speaking about a situation that I can narrate. 2015, I had a case of drivers who were earning 5,000. And in that, I had to intervene and assist them in negotiating for them to probably get a better salary, and the increment was still very low because last year around September they were earning 7,000. So when you look on those drivers, are you saying they are well paid when they are working the whole day? While you find other entrepreneurs that are owning buses, they are paying their employees 13,000, and others are paying employees 7,000. So that gap as well is very high. So deadlock and Department of Labor, they need to come up with all these quotas covering all sectors because a minimum wage, so the banks will say people are earning above 3,500 and that is a minimum wage. So it's not realistic. We need to come up with a concept that is well strategized, and it will change the fundamental challenges of inequality that the country has.
Yeah. Do you think that the essential services are not necessarily, like public transport, of which many commuters and workers are dependent on, is not given the prominence that it deserves in looking after the bus drivers? More often than not, we tend to criticize them, saying they're holding the country to ransom, always demanding more wages in a slower or sluggish economy.
I think it is both. You need to use an integrated thinking on that, where you will find the economy suffering because the economy is not well run. So if the economy is not well run by businesses that are not paying well employees, then employees will use tactics to call the economy down. So it is in both ways. So if the department want to respond, it can be Department of Transport and Department of Labor. They don't have to respond when there's a problem. They need to respond when the issue is there. We need to review. Department of Labor need to have commissioners in all sectors that will review all these salaries of candidates, so that we don't have strikes. In mining is a problem. In manufacturing is a problem, and even in banking is a problem, because you get people who are highly qualified but still earning less. So all those issues, they affect the economy. Because people are failing to build their assets, and they are failing to have better pension funds. So that remains a critical issue that we need to solve, which is inequality in the country.
Yeah, we go to the phone lines now. Phakamile Hlubi, acting spokesperson for NUMSA. Thanks so much, Phakamile, for your time. The Minister of Labour, Mildred Oliphant, has called a meeting for all concerned parties to come up with an amicable resolution out of this particular inconvenience to consumers or commuters, and primarily to deal with the issues of salary disparities. What do you hope will come out of the meeting?
Thank you so much for having me. The National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa welcomes the intervention from government on this issue. As you know, we've always...
All right, I think we've lost Phakamile. They will try and patch her again. The phone lines are not working with us. But just that exactly, Mielani, in the sense of finding a more long-standing and sustainable solution. It cannot be that commuters at this time, when they want to go to their families and various destinations, are inconvenienced. Do you think that the government can do more, or is there over-reliance and dependence on the government to intervene?
Structurally, if the government feels they will have to respond on this, probably they can roll out a national public transport system that has to be managed very well. Because if they leave entrepreneurs are exploiting like their workers, and they are paying their employees less. I think that is a critical problem that needs to be solved. Other than the other one, people can still use their family cars and other aspects, but
the majority don't have that luxury. But
yeah, I understand the point, but the issue is the bus drivers have kids as well. You find that the bus driver has 3 kids, so will the bus driver earn 4,000 and we call it a good thing? We need to solve that issue.
Hold that thought. Let's get a caller. Tsepang in the Free State. Good evening to you, and thanks for calling. Okay, we lost Tsepang there. Sorry, he had to wait a little bit there. So how do you deal with the plight? And rightfully so, when you say disposable income, or rather the cost of living is not commensurate with what many South Africans are earning, and yet they're expected to be productive, and they also face the same kind of pressures and stress that we have in terms of affordability of school and access to other amenities. So how do you resolve this in the immediate to avert further strikes?
I mean, a revised thought in South Africa, it's yesterday, because the march was something that was as well, probably I will consider undemocratic and unnecessary. People were released to go and march for that. These are the things that, issues of inequality, people are supposed to be marching for that. Not another like these political games, because there is always democratic processes that they will vote and punish parties and everything. Issues of inequality are in the center of the challenges that this country has. And if people can probably be mobilized and unite on inequality, that is something that we need. Inequality in South Africa is very high. We are going for the World Economic Forum in May. The issue that are going to be discussed there highly is inequality and the distribution of income. So that affect people not to build their assets. These people will leave work with no pension fund and they go back to welfare, of which is a critical challenge. Having social development.
Let's get a response, Mielani, from Phakamile Hlubi, acting spokesperson for the National Union of Metal Workers. Thanks so much. Pagamile, I hope it's second time lucky. Your view on the call for mass mobilization to deal with inequality effectively by ensuring that people in the low-income earners at least earn a living wage. What's your response to that?
Well, as NUMSA, we believe that those who believe in social justice, those who believe in equality and freedom, these are people who should actually mobilize with us on these issues. We cannot talk about democracy and the freedom and the new dispensation that we have, and yet we have a situation where the majority of South Africans are living the same way that they were under apartheid. What does freedom mean for them if they can't feed their families? What does freedom mean for them if they can't educate their children? What does freedom mean for them if they're dying in our hospitals because they don't have access to quality health care? So if you're going to be, marching in the name of equality, then it means you actually have to stand with workers, because workers' issues are bread and butter issues. Workers in this country and the poor are the most vulnerable sectors of society, and they're the ones who've been marginalized and who have been oppressed even under this new dispensation.
What do you say to those that say at least the bus drivers do have a job where 18 million or so others cannot enjoy the same, that it is better to have a little bit of income as opposed to being in the periphery completely?
I think that's a very unfortunate opinion that many people seem to have. And it's completely unfair, if I can be frank, actually, because people who say that are people who don't have any experience of what it's like not to be able to survive from month to month on your salary. These are people who have no idea what it's like to earn less than 3,500 rand a month, for you not to have job security, for you to be abused in your workplace. It's become a culture in South Africa where we actually believe it's normal for workers to be paid badly. And the reason we believe that is because we think that it's normal for African people in particular to suffer. And that is the situation that we're faced with. So until we get real about dealing with these issues, unfortunately, you will always have people with that kind of narrow-minded perspective.
What do you hope will come out of the meeting on Friday with all the stakeholders?
As the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, we welcome the intervention from the ministries on this issue. We've always said that going on strike for us was a decision taken as it was something we had to do as a matter of last resort. Beyond that, I don't want to comment because I don't want to set the tone for anything that might happen in the course of that meeting. As NUMSA, we want to just leave the way open for the process to take its course.
What is the alternative for commuters traveling through the Easter weekend?
Well, as we had given notice on the fact that the strike would have an impact on public transportation services, we hope that commuters have made alternative arrangements. I understand that some of the bus passenger companies have made arrangements. Unfortunately, I don't speak on behalf of these entities, but we were clear about the fact that the strike was going to have an impact and commuters should make alternative arrangements.
Pagamile, thanks so much for your time. That's Pagamile Hlubi, national or acting national spokesperson for NUMSA. And we have Anonymous on the line calling us from Johannesburg. Good evening to you and thanks for joining us.
I see the bus driver fella to the most striking. Kuna le batho ba ba fielang, batho ba leng ka mo administration, ba mechanic, bo eng ke bo botle. Mara re ke le botseng. Ona le ntengwe shishimisang right ka mogara company. Rena batho ba mala. Re bereka ka thata. Motho a tsene beke e 2 weeks back ne ele le khuwa. Then from there next week ukre a setse ya ele formana a change ile formana. Rena re na le mengwa he mintsi re belega mola. Arena promotion arena eng. Ba tla botsa rene at least 5 years experience or matric. Bona batho ba
ke kopa o botsisa union e go gae ha go thusa ka mathata lona.
No ite ra ba botsa a go etsa bona a go etsagale at least nka I publisha mo lena mo go tla etsagala something.
All right, thank you so much. Anonymous calling us from Joburg, essentially talking about the hardships that they have within these companies, the fact that there is discrimination based on race in terms of promotions, and that it's the entire value chain that is on strike. It's not just the bus drivers, talking about the mechanics and the cleaners and admin staff, etc. Essentially, just, bemoaning the fact that nothing much has changed, and even the unions are not paying attention to their plight.
It's not like the unions are not paying attention, and at the same time, it's not like government is not paying attention. Business is very strong in this country that government sometimes is even afraid to confront business, of which it makes government to be very weak. We get into different engagements, but business in South Africa is very strong. And to change that, you need strong leadership from government. And if that does not happen, this country, whether we have democracy or we don't have democracy, it will be the same. And the challenge is when the people that we are left with now, because Uncle Katrada just passed on as well, said then people can see that people are passing on, those who understand the challenges of the past and what probably needs to happen in the future. It will be a very huge challenge for South Africa, because people will say Mandela has done what, Thabo Mbeki has done what. What is necessary is, if this is still remaining, whether Mandela was here or even if Mandela was alive, he was still supposed to be asked this question.
But is the only arson or ammunition that workers have to withhold their labor, even if things will change marginally? In this case, we told that the employer is only willing to give 9% and workers are demanding 12 to 15%. So if there isn't a middle ground and a significant shift, and not just playing around on double-digit inflation increases, how then do we ensure that workers, number one, are well paid, at least for the type of work that they do, and they have also working conditions that are in line with the legislation? I
think I don't agree with these percentages that are happening in negotiation. I've been in a lot of them, and I see that it's not helping. What is necessary is income needs to be restructured first, and then when income income or salaries and wages are restructured, then after these salaries have been restructured, then you can speak about an increment. What is the point of speaking about increment in 4,000, and then you will say 9% or 7%?
Which is less than even 400.
It's very small.
Godfrey is in Johannesburg. Good evening to you. Thanks for calling, Godfrey. All right, Mielane, you hold the spotlight, so that's why our callers become impatient. But we hope you listen in nonetheless. So going forward, give us some semblance of, that there will be a resolution, and hopefully that these strikes can be curtailed for good.
Business needs to change. That is the first thing. Business have high profits in South Africa, and they give low salaries. They have a lot of retained income. Employees have no disposable income. There is high poverty for all the employees, and shareholders are getting out with a lot of money. So inequality is very high. We need to change that. If we can have a structure where each and every sector, when a company has profits, will then know that in this profit, shareholders will take this mark, and the rest will go to employees. And we need to have this shared growth where the profit needs to be also shared by employees, besides salary, but the profit needs to also be shared by employees, where employees will get better bonuses, like shareholders who go to Dubai, Switzerland, and America. So all those, that structural balance, because all of them, they are employees of one company. I think that is one fundamental issue that we need to understand. In a democratic society, we are no longer in apartheid. So things need to work very well. I think that aspect, inequality, is something that is in the center of my heart. We really need to change that process.
I'm sure your input will be considered in the negotiation table on Friday. But Mielane, thanks so much indeed. Mielane Mkhabela is a political economist, and thanks to our callers as well. We take a quick ad break and take a look at your morning weather for tomorrow. Do stay with ANN7 Prime.